Hello, good evening, and welcome back to the Invictus Racing League IRL F1 League here on the PlayStation. Myself, Gareth Hall, and joined, as always, by Alan Sabatino. How are you doing, Sab?
I'm good, thank you. I hope we've all had a good weekend. Superb weather we've had here in the UK. And tonight we're here back Monday night after what was a very eventful week race last week, Gareth, in China. We ended up seeing Bando Biz, who had a superb race, getting on the podium. Harry did take the checkered flag, but I believe Stinson did take that back as well. We had fights throughout, and yeah, it's probably, as we were just discussing off air, the best race we've had so far this season.
Yeah, it was probably the best race we've had in quite a while in the IRL F1 League, and it's a shame not more people could get to tune in for that one. But yeah, welcome to the 11th round of the season. Just one final one to go after that, and that's Singapore in just a week's time. And we're here for the first time since season 10, round 4, where it was won by Hercules ahead of Scott Buckner and Foxy Red 2000. Who ended up on the pole position. It was Kai Eltink that started on pole ahead of Scott, Hercules and Harry. There was contact between Harry and Gamer at turn 2 on lap 1 that put Harry into the gravel, and then equally contact between Charlie Harris and CRG Gamer 62, which put Gamer in the gravel on the outside of turn 6. And, well, Harry, he's not actually managed to finish a race here in quite a while. He ended up in the wall on the exit of turn 8 on lap 20. And that lost him a big chance of gaining some big points on Gamer. Gamer could only finish 10th that time around. And it ended up being Hercules who won by 6 seconds ahead of Scott and Foxy, who went from 10th to 3rd on the grid. Previously, we were back here at season 7, round 10, won that time by Scott Buckner ahead of Scopefielder and Speed Queen. So not too many times we've been here for the circuit de Catalunya, and well, we welcome you all to the race tonight, and it is surefire, I'm sure, to be another cracker. Looks as though a slightly smaller grid this evening, which is once again a little bit disappointing for the IRL F1 guys. It's we know it's coming towards the end of the game, and it's starting to grate on everyone a little bit. But Sab, I'm sure we'll do our best to bring you a good show's entertainment tonight.
I'm sure will, and I'm personally hoping we see more of the faster runner guys starting at the back, because it seems to be promoting some great racing and some opportunities for guys to get pole positions and podiums that might not necessarily always get to those places. Like Harry, who started the last 2 races down in 12th place and has ended up winning 1 race and finished on the podium with others. So I'm wondering whether Harry probably start fancying that 12th place, you know, and seeing what he can do again. But it'd be interesting. Personally, let's just hope we get some weather, you know. We've seen some weather in the Realistic Performance League last week in China. That was a lot of fun. Quite tricky for myself and you, Gareth. But tonight we're here in Spain. Probably not going to get any weather. Looking at that, don't think we'll get any weather in qualifying either, Gareth.
No, afraid not. By the looks of it, I'm sure we'll find out very, very soon as our resident weatherman. Oh, weather, it's due to be a wet race. There we go.
Oh.
Finally, something has turned in this one, and well, finally we might see the race turned on its head. And yeah, welcome everyone for joining us this evening. And well, sorry if I sound a little bit hoarse. Unfortunately, I've just come back from a 3 days of commentating for the Fab Racing Mini Bike British Championships down in the southeast of England. So I've been working pretty hard and shouting pretty loudly in a commentary box somewhere. So I will try and keep it going for the majority of this, but I'm sure my very, very well talented, or very highly talented co-commentator and colour commentator Alan will be able to carry some of the load at some points in this one if I ever need to just take a quick drink as I sit here with my throat on fire. But yeah, we sit with a qualifying session just about to go underway. 13 on the grid tonight, Sab. Do we see the likes of Harry doing what he's done over the last few weeks, where he starts from the rear end of the field? Do we see Stinson doing the same thing? For Stinson, he tried it, of course, in France, didn't quite work out. However, last time around in China, big time winner out of that one, ending up, of course, getting that win back after a pit a post-race penalty was taken away for him, and getting that win. Stinson, you've got to think he wants to end this season on a high.
He most certainly does, and I have to say it was a hell of a performance from Stinson last week. That 2-stop strategy was absolutely superb, and I think it's a shame in a way we got the safety car when we did, because I would have loved to have seen Stinson doing what he was about to do, catch the front two up and take that win the way he was going to. But in the end, that safety car brought us an incredible end to that race, and Stinson deservedly in the end taking the win. He was absolutely thoroughly superb, and like you say, this evening it's going to be very interesting to see if he can repeat that. He's shown good form, Stinson. After he finally broke that duck of not getting penalties and picking up these race victories, he's really started to shine. It'd be, for his sake, it'd be good to end the season with some real good form. I'm just going to keep an eye on Harry's teammate, our champion on a Monday night now, Hercules. He's just about to start flying up, and interestingly, with that news of wet weather going to be available in the beginning of the race, nobody's fancying any harder tyres. No mediums or hard tyres out there for the guys on the track currently, all running the soft tyres. Hercules rounds that long sweeping right-hander now on his first flying lap.
Yep, and with that wet start, yeah, going back to what my previous thing was, if Harry will start outside, no, I doubt he'll want to. He wants to, of course, if you're in a wet race, you want to be near the front as possible. You don't want to get caught out by any spray whatsoever. We've got Andriy making his way around into the third sector and around the final part of this lap. And Andriy, who's on a pretty decent run of results in qualifying over the last half of a season or so, as he comes into the slightly elongated final chicane now, taking a little bit of exit curb around the final corner. And what can the Hash driver do? Of course, took his debut podium earlier on in the season. It's a 14.455 for him, as up to the line now comes Rudy, a 14.840, 3/10 of a second slower than, 4/10 of a second slower than Andriy. We're going to have another couple of flashes as TL44S. Tom does a 15.2, and Bando, unfortunately, looks as though he's managing to just come across the line, possible invalidation there. Everyone else starting to set some times. We've got Stinson, a 14.7, showing that that's a decent lap there from Andriy.
It is a decent lap. Unfortunately, it wasn't a decent lap for Hercules. He invalidated on his first flying lap. I'm just going on to Harry now. He's just rounding in the last few corners here. No invalidation for him. It's looked clean and tidy from Harry as he comes round the final corner to set his first flying lap of the evening. What is Harry going to do? Harry, there you go. Straight away statement time from Harry, straight up into first place, a 14.236, just about 2/10 quicker than Andriy, and interestingly, already half a second quicker than Stinson. I'm sure Stinson will have more time in hand, but yeah, that is a hell of a lap from Harry, and proving to me that he's not fancying that 12th place this evening.
No, absolutely not. Of course, with a wet start, you want to be as near to the front of the grid as possible, not allowing the spray to get in your eyes, giving yourself a clean run through down to turn one, and trying to check out from the rest of the field. Hercules now making his way into the third sector, past the big red banner of the Circuit de Casa, or Circuit Barcelona sign. Of course, this will be the last time we see this track layout, as that sector gets changed due to the wants and needs of the MotoGP guys. They don't quite like that. As he just switches into the box there, deciding not to go on, continue with that lap. But yeah, the circuit changing due to the MotoGP guys not liking that heavy braking zone, so it's going to be a sweeping left-hander as Cliffy goes across the line, does 1:21.1, not a particularly representative time there, but not too dissimilar to what we've seen so far from Cliffy in his returns. Of course, 2 15th place starts in qualifying. What else will we see, as we've got pretty much everyone else now starting to know their way back into the box. The only one that's really out on circuit is now Fozzy, so we will see if we can find where the Alfa Romeo driver is. He's currently just coming his way down to the final chicane and in towards the last corner. And, well, we're here for the Spanish Grand Prix. It's the 11th round of the season of the IRL F1 League. On the PlayStation, it's a 4.6 kilometre circuit. That's 2.89 of a mile. Distance turn one is 730 metres. It's longest straight, 0.65 of a mile. That is just around for the final corner down towards turn one, where they'll hit a top speed of just over 200 miles an hour. Full throttle, 65% of the lap, even though it's quite an intense circuit for braking and downforce. But full fuel consumption is relatively medium to average around here. Not too much you can save in these heavy braking zones. As Fozzy almost gets it all wrong there on exit. ERS demands, like I said, like the same as fuel, relatively average. You can save here at the braking points, especially in the second and third sector. It's 44 gear changes over that distance, making it just a smidge over 2,900 of a 50% race, which we will be completing tonight. And I'm sure I'm talking absolute bawblish at the moment, because I'm losing track as I'm trying to keep track of what Foxy's doing. He's coming into the final chicane now. Looks as though he's had a bit of a scruffing lap so far. We'll see what the Midlands man can do as he comes to the final corner. It's going to not going to be the most competitive time, as the 14s are about to go past, and possibly a 15. It's a 14.8, so it's put him into 7th place. I'm sure Foxy, who often goes out and sets a banker, will be looking to improve on that, of course, due to have a wet start in this one. So stay tuned for the race, which will be coming up in just over 10 minutes.
I'm just going to ride on board with current third place man, the McLaren driver of Stinson. He's coming around the final corner now, start his next flying lap. I was keeping an eye on Cliffy. He did go for another flying lap after he did that 121, and he was massively up, which is not surprising after doing a 121. He was massively up on his time, but had enough of it, bailed out, and it came into the pit. So there is pace in Cliffy. We know there's pace in Cliffy. We see how fast he can drive and overtake in a race. So Cliffy has got the pace one lap round here, but he's just not fancying it at the minute, maybe saving those tyres because he's coming out for another lap. Just riding on board with Stinson first. Through the first sector, he's gone purple. So Stinson here already done a 14.716. He's looking to improve on that, at least get onto the front row with Harry, even potentially overtake Harry at the top. Stinson coming in. I hate that left-hander. I always struggle on that left-hander to go into the next DRS rate. But Stinson, purple second sector, is just over 4/10 up here, so Stinson should massively improve it if he keeps this all nice and tidy through these final few corners now. No running wide here, don't want to invalidate, don't want to run deep either, lock a wheel up nice and steady through these final few corners. Come up to final corner now, here comes Stinson. Can he steal that pole position from Harry? Coming across the line now, he doesn't. It's very close, Gareth. A 14.248. Not much in that at all.
No, 12 thousandths of a second splits your top two at the moment. Andriy, who's currently trying to improve on his third place, and Andriy, of course, who, like I said, has had a really strong run in qualifying over the last 4 or 5 races or so. He's only qualified outside of the top 5 once in the previous 6 races. He's in fact just invalidated, as I'm sure that's a curse and a half that you won't be wanting me to gift to him once again. But Rudy, he's backing out of that one, so we'll try and see someone who is on a flyer. We've got TL44S. Let's go on board with Tom. Of course, Tom picking up his debut podium in F1 2 races ago back in France, I believe it was. But I'm sure he'll be looking to going one better towards the end of this season. He just needs things to go in his favour, and well, if we're going to have a wet race, that's as we've seen so far this weekend in F1 at Imola. The wet can really throw up a couple of changes, a couple of things, and it can really shake up the grid. What can it do tonight as TL44S goes down towards the hard braking zone at turn 10? DRS flap shuts as he sweeps into the quick left-right section, climbing back up the hill onto the old part of the circuit as he goes down in towards the new chicane that's about to get even tighter, I believe, but into the final 2 corners, and takes the final corner. And TL44S with a lap time currently of a 1:14.7. Can he improve on it? He's got to take a little bit of time off. He does. He takes a 10th off, and he moves himself up a row from P7 to P5.
I was just riding on board with Cliffy. He's invalidated, so I flicked over to his teammate Marcus. Marcus is improving on this lap. I think he might get in and around where TL44S and TG Nathan has just slotted himself in 6th place. Marcus is currently now in 7th place. He just needs to get these final few corners right once again. Marcus, I think, is impressed in qualifying the last few weeks now. Oh, just a little bit out of shape there. That could potentially have cost him there. He was only fractionally up. Is he going to improve here? He does improve. It's a 14.5, but perhaps he might have even got into the 14.4s. That slight correction he had to do on the final corner. But it's decent from Marcus, and I'm sure if he can just nail that last few corners as well, he could find himself potentially challenging for 3rd or 4th place here.
Yeah, Marcus with the best qualifying result of the season of 5th place back in France, 7th place last week in China. What can he do? He's currently matching his best in that 5th place finish as Burr's backed out of a lap. We've got Cliffy who's invalidated, so I will try and find someone that is on a clean lap here at the circuit to Catalunya, and well, it's Foxy Red 2000. So let's have another go on board with the Alfa Romeo, sorry, as we go around the quite tricky. Quite flick of turn 7 and turn 8 onto the back straight, gets it all wrong, but he's going to get a lovely toe there off the back of, I believe that's Harry, as he goes into the braking zone at turn 10. A little bit of a lock up and he's invalidated the exit, so great to see Harry giving him a little bit of a help, but unfortunately Foxy not the greatest there, and he's got 5.5 minutes to come back in, strapping up a set of those soft boots on as Harry disappears off into the ether there as he takes to the outside line as he's rolling back in. I'm sure he'll be wanting to go out because that 12 thousandths gap between himself and Stinson will not be ideal for him. We've got everyone in the pit lane at the moment, Sab. That's not something we often see as, oh, there we go, Hercules has decided to join us out on circuit, so that's going to give us something to talk about. But in the meantime, whilst we're waiting for Hercules to circulate out there, let's just quickly tell you what else we've got coming up this week as part of Invictus. And of course, you can tune in on YouTube and on Twitch for the rest of the week for the F2 League on the PlayStation will be tomorrow night with Malc and Dan in the commentary box. Xbox F1 will be over on twitch.tv with Keiran and Dom. Wednesday is PS F3 and F4 with Hoppers and Wojtek covering F3. Andriy will hopefully in the box for F4. Whereas you can also find the PC F1 with Dan and JCol, and F2 covered by Cameron and Fozzy as they all stream live on YouTube. Thursday it's Realistic Performance League night, and we've got the qualifying as well this week, so of course reverse grid every other week, so that will be for the final race of the season in Singapore next week. However, it'll be quali week this week, and you've got Malc and Tim covering the Realistic Performance League on the PlayStation, and Andrew and Matt covering the Xbox League. You can find that on twitch.tv/Invictus Racing League. Of course, the PlayStation will always stream here on the YouTube channel, so make sure you like, share, subscribe, do all the good stuff you do on the socials. Of course, at Invictus RL on Twitter, Invictus Racing League on Facebook and on Instagram, and of course you can get in touch with us using the hashtag InvictusRL. Of course, you can find me on social media at GT2_driving. You can find Sab at Alan Sabatino, and we've got Hercules out on circuit. We've got Luke Bailey, of course, F2 driver, that's making the jump up tonight just to pad out the grid a little bit, seeing as it looks as though we've got a couple of drivers missing from this one. But Luke, he had a run out a couple of races ago when some of the F2 guys had come up just to test their mettle and see if they were ready for next season, and hasn't done too badly. Currently sitting in 11th place. He's 3/10 off the back of Burmeister, so it shows you that he can push towards the back end of this order.
It does indeed, and I think he'll be eyeing up just to have a steady, clean race. You know, don't trip over any of these F1 guys, and just try and show his pace. I'm just talking of pace, just keeping an eye on Hercules, and so far it's been a much improved lap from Hercules. No invalidations or anything here. He's coming across the line donning that Sebastian Vettel style helmet, and he goes fastest. Look at that, a 14.224 ahead of his teammate, and it makes it an all Renault front row currently.
Yeah, so that'd be, I think, we haven't seen an all-Renault front row for quite a while. So, yeah, we will see if Hercules can hold on to it, because still into the box, that was going to be his final lap. There's no more laps coming from the German on the 47 machine. And Hercules, he's going to be coming in and hoping with that 12 thousandths of a second advantage he's got over Harry, who's got a 12 thousandths of a second advantage over Stinson. Shows you that it's mighty close between the top three of them. Andriy in 4th place, he's on an outlap. Then we've got Rudy and Marcus equally rolling out there on an outlap. Cliffy is out on circuit. He's improving on that time. Is it enough to get inside the top 10? He's invalidated the final corner, and Mr. Qualifying himself, ERT Cliffy, once again does his magic, and will be starting this one from last place on the grid. And well, with the rain coming, that's probably not the best strategy.
No, and he did a 14.3 as well, so that had put him P4 on the grid, so that is incredibly frustrating. Just drifted slightly wide, and it was enough to invalidate, similar to what happened to quite a few guys in Imola this weekend, with the track limits being applied throughout qualifying, and unfortunately Cliffy will find himself starting at the back of the grid this evening. I'm just riding on board with Foxy Red. Foxy is 1,000th of a second up on his current time, so if he's to improve, he's going to have to really find some time through this final sector. Foxy Red, without his teammate, I believe, this evening, no Scopefield this evening, unfortunately, so Foxy Red flying solo for Alfa Romeo this evening. Final few corners now. Is he able to improve at all? Can he improve on ninth place? Foxy Red comes across the line. He does improve, but it's not enough, unfortunately, for Foxy. P9 will be the best he could possibly start from tonight. He's just done a 14.779.
As we've got a couple of the other drivers out on circuit, Andriy invalidating his last run, so Andrey's not going to get a faster time in from 4th place. Rudy, what can he do? He's coming around the 3rd sector now, so Rudy, with a couple more corners left to go, he's currently sitting on a 14.458, just 0.003 of a second will get him up ahead of Andriy, so it's showing you it's very, very close between multiple. He's just missed the apex of the final corner there. Will that cost him as he comes up to the line? It might have done. It is 0.06 of a second is dropped Rudy off of his fastest time. Marcus isn't improving. He's invalidated his lap. We've got TL44S. He's up by 1.5 through the 1st sector. We've got Nathan running around as well. He's currently trying to improve. Harry, let's see where Harry's on circuit. He's coming around the final corner and he's invalidated his last lap. So Harry, he isn't going to get pole position in this one. What can Stinson do? Stinson currently going 0.03 of a second faster, and well, we'll tune in later on in this lap. Bando invalidation as everyone pushing hard to try and get a lap in. It looks as though plenty of people. Nathan with that invalidation. What have we got from? We've got the Mercedes on Cliffy. Cliffy, is he pushing again? Looks as though he's going for a second push lap, or is he going to bail in? No, he does go for it. A little bit of a squirm on exit of the chicane. And what can he do? He looks as though it's more competitive. No, it's there we go, straight and deciding to cross the line last in this one. So Cliffy going to start from the back. For S, what can he do? Currently in P7, he's going to try and improve. He puts himself up onto row 3 into 6th place, and Stinson at the end snatches it and takes a 13.962, 0.3 of a second faster than Hercules. Absolutely blistering lap. Completely missed that one on the mini map.
Yeah, I was watching Stinson, and he absolutely was superb throughout that whole lap. It was a mega lap from the McLaren driver. Just a slight lock up in the middle sector, but nothing at all that put him off. He absolutely pushed the limits of the track, not too much so that he invalidated like a few guys you've just mentioned, and he absolutely nailed it. And once again, Stinson finds himself at the very front. Are we going to potentially see another Stinson masterclass? Who knows? But with that wet weather coming, Gareth, I think anybody's still within a shout of the race victory tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. So this could go absolutely anywhere. And Stinson, well, he's in the best position possible, on pole position. Just about manages to get up himself up ahead of Hercules. I'm sure Hercules would have been eyeing up a pole position in this one and will be slightly disappointed it's been stolen away from him at the absolute final moments. It's something we've seen from Stinson quite a few times, him just taking that pole position at the death. But he takes the top spot in qualifying with 13.962, well over, or just over 2.5 of a second faster than Hercules, who equally beat his teammate by 12 thousandths of a second. Then you've got Rudy and Andriy in 4th, Rudy in 5th, split by 3 thousandths of a second. TL44S 14 thousandths of a second faster than Marcus, and Marcus in 7th position. Nathan in 8th with Foxy 9th, and Bando Biz rounding out your top 10. Bert, Luke and Cliffy will all be outside the top 10. However, with a wet start, these soft tyres don't mean anything. There's no advantage for those starting outside of the top 10. They'll all be strapping on some intermediates or full wet tyres. I'm sure we'll find out very, very shortly what is the case with the rain looking as though it's going to last about 45 minutes before going overcast. I would imagine, unless it's incredibly intense, we're going to see an intermediate start. We'll find out very shortly, and it looks as though it is an intermediate start. Doesn't quite look like it's got that standing water, but I'm sure the drivers try and prove me wrong when we go to the grid ever so shortly. But Sab, coming to this one, wet start. It's the first time we've seen that this season, the first time in what feels like forever we've had a little bit of rain in F1. So yeah, where's this one going to go?
Good question, but I'll be honest with you guys. I'm absolutely delighted to see the rain. It's not often you'll hear me say that, especially when I'm racing. But yeah, I'm absolutely delighted to see this tonight. See these guys really put to their test. It'd be interesting to see the likes of Stinson, Harry, and Hercules at the very front. If Stinson can get away, he'd be able to not get that spray in his face, will he, and have a cleaner run round the track, whereas the guys behind him will all get that spray in their face, which will make it much more difficult to follow and attack around here. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I can't wait to see what happens. I hope similar to what we had, Gareth, on Thursday night, where it ended up drying out towards the end, and it was a case of who dares flinch first on a set of dry tyres. So fingers crossed we get something like that this evening. We don't get the wet weather throughout. But yeah, I honestly can't put my finger on who could possibly win this start. Yes, Stinson over that one lap in the dries looked fantastic, but like we've just said, in the wet weather, who do you call here? Anybody can make a slight mistake, no matter if you're the fastest on the track or the slowest. Anybody can make a mistake, and anybody can potentially then go on and win this race. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I think we had a superb race last week, and fingers crossed this mixture of weather can give us another cracking evening of racing as well.
Yeah, absolutely so. But well, you say talking about last week's Realistic Performance League race, well, I'm not paying attention to these the Rebel reports ever again. I think we were told that we'd have 5 minutes of light rain, and we ended up having a much heavier rain than that. So my decision to stay out in the dry tyres and try and brave it out did not work whatsoever. But yeah, this time around we'll see. I'm sure they will prove us wrong as they send it down into T1 here for the Spanish Grand Prix, the 11th round of the IRL F1 League. And you are listening to myself, Gareth Hall, and Alan Sabatino calling that 11th round here. Just one more left to go in Singapore in a week's time. And we've got Stinson on pole position on those intermediate tyres. Yeah, so Inters is the way forward. Of course, Inters that chuck out 35 litres of water every single second. There's a go. That's the first time I can use that stat this season, Sapper. Yeah, so it will be Stinson from Hercules, Harry, Andriy, Rudy, Tilforth, Marcus, Nathan, Foxy, Bando, Bert, Luke, and Cliffy. I'm sure Sab usually goes around and tells us the tyre stats now, but I'd imagine that they're all pretty much the same.
Yeah, you are not wrong. I normally enjoy this part of the outlap game, the information, but yeah, everybody on the green walled intermediate tyres, nobody going for the gamble of the full wets like we saw on Sunday in Imola with the likes of Pierre Gasly. So everybody knowing that the intermediate tyres are the one to go with, and yeah, Stinson leading the guys around now. He's just getting some temperature in those tyres now. He's not hanging about either. He's looking like he's wanted to get on with this here. It's not really that slow an outlap, so Stinson trying to get on with it now as they go down that back straight, that second DRS straight. He has backed the pack up a little bit, but yeah, this will be interesting for Stinson, because I imagine teamwork's going to be in play behind him with the likes of Harry and Hercules. They'll be, I'm sure, conjuring up a plan right now in their chat to try and work out how to beat Stinson this evening, maybe try and pit earlier than him, who knows. But this wet weather, I'm sure, is going to play a factor for everybody's strategy this evening. So yeah, Stinson coming around the final few corners now. Oh, I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, as everyone starts to make their way around in towards their grid slots into the final two corners. What can we see from the likes of Andriy from 4th position, from Rudy in 5th, Tilforth? Can he have another good run? Bando is, of course, a surprise podium, absolutely elated with it. You heard if you saw his video back on social media afterwards, and you cannot take away from it. It was a fantastic race for the Racing Point pilot in that one. However, this time around, it'll be Stinson versus Hercules versus Harry off the line. Who of these top three drivers in F1 can get the launch down to T1 itself here for the Spanish Grand Prix, the 11th round of the IRL F1 League on the PlayStation. We're about to kick it off as we got 3, 4, 5 lights on. lights off, and they're about to send it down to P1. Who's got the launch off the line? It looks as though it's a great start there from Stinson. It's a dreadful start for Harry BR25. He's falling down the order. He's already down to 7th position off 3rd. Is he going to lose any more positions off the line? You can see behind it looks as though everyone's slowly starting to make their way through the order, and Harry falling down to 7th place is the worst possible start for the man that has already been crowned champion this season. Of course, won the championship back in France with 3 wide down the back as Burmeister goes 3 wide with the 2 Mercedes as Cliffy trying to get the job done. He moves up from 13th into 11th off the start, so Berg dropping down, and in fact now under threat from the Williams and Luke Bailey. Of course, Luke Bailey making an appearance in this one after jumping up from F2, which you'll be able to see him in tomorrow night. But up ahead you can see Harry now down to 7th position. You've just got TL4S, Nathan, Rudy, Andriy all up ahead of him that jumped him off the start. Stinson, however, already with a 1.3 second advantage.
Yeah, I was on board with Harry for the start, and it was almost like anti-stall had kicked in for Harry. He just did not get going at all, and the cars around him had to react, and luckily for Harry, he didn't lose too many more positions. He managed to keep the likes of Foxy Red behind, but just a further ahead of Harry, TG Nathan has just run wide there. I thought it was going to gift an opportunity for TL4S to try and make a move on the Haas driver, but no, Nathan just about recovers it nicely. But yeah, what a good start it is from Stinson. He couldn't have asked for a better start. Already 1.5 seconds ahead of Hercules with obviously the fastest lap so far. And yeah, this is going to be, I think, a tough race for Hercules to keep up with Stinson, the way Stinson's going at the moment. But Harry, I think, has got the bigger job of the 2 Renault guys at the moment, being stuck down there in 7th place.
Yeah, absolutely. And ignore your timing screens. I'll just double check, but I'm pretty sure Stinson's still leading this one. Yes, he is, as he sends it up towards the end of the first sector at turn 4. And we've got yellow in sector 1. It's Bando that's gone around. We'll check in with Bando. Is he put it into the wall? The man that finished on the podium last time around, he's just recovering out of the gravel. Very easy to do in these tricky conditions. Of course, the track very greasy. It looks as though he's lost a front left end plate on that Racing Point.
Yeah, I just saw the first lap. He was struggling on that very corner as well, and he did run wide on that very corner, so he's not enjoying that part of the track in these conditions. That's a shame to see Bando Biz, but it's good to see him carrying on. Harry, meanwhile, has managed to jump TL4S into 6th place. I didn't quite see the move happen. It was down the second DRS straight. Obviously, we don't have DRS in these weather conditions, but Harry making moves quickly. He knows he needs to get a shift on now if he's to catch up with firstly his teammate, never mind Stinson, who's already up the road. So Harry into 6th place. His next target will be TTG Nathan in the Haas.
Yeah, and not too much to gap between himself and Nathan as Stinson goes fastest to 28 flat. He's currently absolutely wiping the floor with the rest of the field. Already on lap 3, he's built himself a 2.1 second advantage, 2.2, and I'm sure that will become 2.3 very shortly. But Andriy, a really nice run so far from the Haas, really staying in the wheel tracks of Hercules, who's up ahead. Hercules not really with an answer for Stinson's early pace here. As you can see, there's not too much spray coming out from these tyres. Of course, it is still into weather and into grip levels, but I'm sure they'll be looking at, as soon as this rain stops and that drying line starts to form, of jumping onto a set of dry tyres as soon as possible to give yourself that advantage. But thank you for everyone joining tonight. Make sure you like the video. It really does help us out here at IRL. And of course, if you're new to the YouTube channel, subscribe and ring the bell to be notified every time we go live with a new video. As you can see, the engine going a little bit light there for Andriy as he bounced over the exit curb on the run over turn 8, and he's just about got it slowed down, and he's dropped just outside of that 1 second window of Hercules behind, so just losing a little bit on this lap. Rudy now 0.7 of a second behind. Andriy, Stinson 2.5 seconds the end of this lap. It's been a great start from the Dutchman.
It really has, and I'm just looking further down. It's also been a very good start, and probably not surprised, Gareth, for Cliffy. Cliffy into 9th place. He's already in the points. He's made up 4 places, already ahead of his teammate Marcus, who's Marcus is down in 10th place. A poor start for him. But interestingly, what this is doing to help Cliffy is TL4S has is seemingly struggling at this phase of the race. Harry has overtaken him and now started to build a gap to TL4S, and what that's now doing is it's pushing TL4S into the clutches of Foxy and Cliffy, who are within a second behind. So TL4S not really enjoying this phase of race, but it looks like Cliffy's, we've got a yellow flag in Sector 3, and unfortunately it's Bando once again, and he's just really not enjoying these conditions whatsoever. He's got going again, but yeah, it's just looking like an evening to forget for the Racing Point driver.
Yeah, these drivers, of course, all running no assists or no performance-based assists, so they, some of them will be running with the racing line, but no ABS, no traction control whatsoever. So, of course, running in the wet, very much a different kettle of fish compared to running in the dry, when you've got no grip and no braking down, especially down into this heavy braking zone at turn 10. There's Foxy Red 7/10 of a second behind TL4S, and Tom has dropped back off of the back end of Harry, as he looks as though he might just about had an error, because he's had Foxy close right up to the back of him.
Yeah, that's what I was. Sorry, I didn't mean to speak over you there, Gareth. Yeah, Tom had run wide there, and the door firmly wide open for Foxy. Unfortunately for Foxy, he was just too far behind to take any advantage. TL4S really not enjoying this phase, and Foxy now down the start-finish straight is gaining, and this is where DRS would be absolutely perfect, but unfortunately no DRS for Foxy, so he's just going to have to try and get the move done. Not close enough to him, and TL4S now, yeah, Foxy squirming through turn 2 there onto turn 3, and TL4S now starting to form a bit of a train, because Cliffy is just about hanging on in there, and Marcus is slowly starting to come back at this pack as well. He's now he's got down to 1.2 seconds here. TL4S just losing touch with Harry in 6th place. Harry's still not yet able to get past Nathan. Nathan seemingly doing a good job at the moment defending from the Renault driver.
Yeah, the current and soon to be crowned champion. Of course, he's already sewn it up back in France at round 9. However, he's waiting for the end of the season for it to be all fully confirmed. That's what you want. You want to finish the season. But Harry, champion of this one, he's wanting to get past Nathan after that dreadful start. Started in 3rd, dropped all the way back to 7th off the line. Just couldn't get the car going whatsoever, and he hasn't got webbed feet whatsoever as Harry BR25. He very much does not enjoy running in wet conditions on this, and give him a dry track and he's very competitive. Give him a wet track and as you can see, stuck in the midfield, not really able to get anything done at the moment, and that's not taking anything away from Nathan. Nathan, a very fast driver in his own right, been on the podium a couple of times, but what can Harry do as he chases him down? And we'll see Harry with a little bit of, quite a bit of battery left over. We saw last time around Foxy trying to attack TL4S was on push to pass pretty much the entire straight, but once again he's backed off. Of course, you can use a little bit more battery down the straights here, because you won't be using it as much during the shorter runs to the corners. Due to the weather conditions, you don't want to be putting too much extra tyre wear in. Equally, you don't want to be lighting up the tyres with extra power in the wet, so watch out for these guys. They'll have a little bit more power to use down the back, or down the DRS straights, or as you say, the DRS straights that aren't quite DRS straights just yet. The run between turn 9 and turn 10 and turn 16 and turn 1, as Foxy Red tries to close in on Tom TL4S, as Harry tries to close in on Nathan. The gap between the pair of them both around 0.4 of a second behind. We've not really got too much going on with Cliffy trying to stay on the back on Foxy, but Nathan picked up the first 3 seconds of the evening, lap 6 of 33, so that's a very early penalty for Nathan, clearly defending hard from Harry. Yeah,
and I'd say another person who's defending well and driving well is Andriy in 3rd place. There we go, Harry has got the move done on Nathan, so Harry, I didn't see that happen. I don't know if you saw that yourself, Gareth, but yeah, Harry has got the move done on Nathan. So just to add to Nathan's woes, he picks up a penalty and then Harry gets the move done on him. But to look at what that has cost Harry, being stuck behind the Haas driver for a few laps. He's now 2.5 seconds behind the next guy, Rudy, in 4th place. So yeah, there's work to be done now for Harry to catch up into 4th place. But just going back to Andriy, I think he's having a decent race here. He's hanging on to Hercules, about 1.5 seconds behind the German in the Renault car, and he's keeping Rudy at bay as well, within 0.9 of a second to 1 second. So yeah, Andriy at the moment having another decent race. he's had these races in the past, some penalties and some drive-throughs that have cost him some potential good scoring positions, like in France, where I thought he could potentially get another podium. So Andriy will be looking to keep it clean tonight and maybe hang on to the back of Hercules, and who knows, a podium place could be on cards for him this evening. But you're probably going to remind me that I've probably already cursed him.
Yeah, absolutely so. As Rudy kicks up the gravel on the exit of turn 9 there, as they run down towards turn 10. And, well, Rudy, Andriy, Hercules, Stinson, Harry, they've all been on the podium. Foxy, I don't know, has he been on the podium? I'm not quite sure, actually. I haven't got my table up in front of me. But no, I know. But obviously we know that TL44S has, of course, debut podium. Bando has as well. This is the season, as Bando picks up 3 seconds, as this is the season we've seen the most amount of different people on the podium since the No Assist League a few seasons ago. As Hercules, the fastest lap of the race, brings that gap down from 2.5 seconds to 2 seconds. So as the rain starts to slow down and dissipate a little bit, you can see Hercules starting to put the pressure back on Stinson. It was up at 2.5, it's now down to 1.9. So Stinson, after that early stint where he was starting to put in some hot laps on these fresh tyres, as starters, they've started to lose a bit. Rudy, very, very, well, not too trigger happy on that throttle there, and all over the, tried to just about hold on to it, and he's just in that 7/10 window between himself and Andriy. And well, hopefully you're all enjoying this one tonight. We can see in the in watching the stream, and do apologise if I sound a little hoarse this evening. Been unfortunately covering, well, I say unfortunately, I've been absolutely enjoying the fact I've been away covering the Fab Racing Mini Bike British Championship for Motorsport Radio this weekend, so have been working pretty hard, but I will be of course covering this on my 100th competitive commentary here at IRL. And we follow the Rudy 1973 as he goes around the third sector, trying to hug that apex and trying to hug the inside line, trying to keep it on the racing line. Of course, you'd want to keep on the lines where the water has been dissipated somewhat, so it is a little bit grippier, a little bit warmer on the track surface. And of course these intermediates, very easy to upset them and either get too much temperature or too little temperature, and then they don't start working as well. And Rudy, he looks as though he's just about managed to keep them in that window, because he's now 0.8 of a second, in fact a little bit slower than Andriy down the straight. So of course this is all going to be on who set up their cars differently for this wet race. Of course they came into qualifying knowing it was a wet start, so do we see people going for a wet strategy or wet setup? Do we people waiting for that dry patch to come later on in this one? Will it even come? We know that the weather reports in this game can be a little bit skew-if, so we will see if we do get that dry period. It looks as though that the rain has somewhat slowed down a little bit since the start of this one. That gap now up at the front, 2.5 seconds, however, Stinson back up, extending it.
Talking of gaps, I'm somewhat surprised with Harry at the moment. He cleared Nathan a couple of laps ago, and the gap between him and Rudy is increased since then. Harry seemingly not able to gain on the Red Bull driver ahead. It's up to nearly 3 seconds now, where it was around the low 2 seconds not long back. So Harry, with some clean air at the moment, not really enjoying this moment to be able to try and catch up with the back of Rudy, especially with Rudy not stuck, but following Andriy close behind. So Harry not really able to make any gains. He has got it down to 2.7 seconds now. So yeah, it's interesting. Harry kind of stuck in that 5th place at the minute. He's comfortably cleared Nathan now at 2.8 seconds. And interestingly, Gareth, Cliffy is into the pits now. What is Cliffy going to do? I don't know if he's picked up any wing damage. I don't know if he's even going to brave it on a set of soft tyres. No, he's not. He's putting on another set of intermediate tyres. No wing change or nothing there. So interesting strategy call there from Cliffy.
Yeah, he's decided to be the first one to blink, come in for a new set of tyres. Of course, the rain's still coming down, so we are still in intermediate conditions. So clearly just thinks that that extra tyre grip might come in his favour if the rain is going to continue, and he might be able to just get out in a bit of free air, because of course he's been stuck behind Foxy Red and TL44S for a number of laps, and equally Finn Marcus is well within shot of him as well. So does he think with this early stop trying to get the undercut and hoping that he can jump the pair of the AlphaTauri and the Alfa Romeo? that are around about half a second ahead of him. This might be a good strategic call for Cliffy just to clear a little bit of traffic, because equally Nathan, with that 3-second penalty just up ahead of him, is a good bet to see if Cliffy can just make a different call compared to everyone else. I'm sure we'll see people decide to come into the box shortly, and well, will Hercules or will we see the likes of Andriy decide to make a run like that and coming in for an early stop? Will they stick out there on these tyres and try and see if they can run to the end of this wet period, hoping that that dry period is a little bit earlier on than first thought?
And talking of one of them, TL4 and Harry, talking of two of them even, because they are both into the pits as well. They've probably just seen TL4 pitting, so Harry coming in for a brand new set of intermediates. So does Tom, TL4 in the Alpha Tauri car. So yeah, those guys maybe reacted to what Cliff is doing. Harry really wasn't going anywhere, as I said, in 5th place. Same with Tom, really. He wasn't really going anywhere. He was managing to hold Foxy off, but maybe thinking about going on for a new set. And TL4 it's a good job he came in, you know. He's only just come out ahead of Cliffy in 11th, so Tom's come out into 10th place with Harry just up the road, about 5 seconds up the road in 9th place.
Yeah, and that might be bad news for Foxy Red 2000, because with Cliffy now on the back of TL4 and of course Foxy doing that extra 2 laps compared to Cliffy, yes, his tyres will be fresher come the end of this stint. However, it looks as though he might lose track position. I'm sure we'll find out. Surely on this next lap, Foxy will have to come into the box. He'll see that TL4 and Cliffy are attached to each other on circuit. Will it affect his decision to maybe run this stint a little bit longer than first planned, as TL4 makes his way around turn 9, uses that rumble strip on the outside, which is a bold move. Of course, it would be very slippery in this rain, but as you can see, a little bit of a lock-up, very easy to do in the weather conditions. Into the box, however, comes Hercules, comes Andriy, out stays Stinson and Rudy, so they've decided to extend this even further. You can see equally Foxy Red staying out, Finn Marcus staying out, so are they hoping to stay out there on these tyres, not run for this strategy that's clearly to come in and set a decent lap on these intermediates, with fresh intermediates? Are they just trying to essentially play games with the weather and hope that they can run until the dry period?
Yeah, that's exactly what I think they must be trying. So yes, our race leader Stinson into the pits, and he's got a 6-second advantage over Rudy with we've got a yellow flag, and unfortunately it's our resident spinner this evening. Unfortunately, it's Bando. It's a shame to see after such a great race for him last week. He just cannot enjoy these conditions around here at Spain at the moment. So yeah, Bando really not enjoying life out there. But yeah, Stinson still out there in first place. It'd be interesting to see if he does react to what Hercules has done now. He's just coming through the final few corners. Will the McLaren driver react and just play it safe, basically, to the... Yes, he does. Yes. So Stinson into the pits. I think he needed to do it, didn't he? But with Hercules coming in, he didn't want to lose any time to the Renault driver. So yes, the McLaren driver into the pits now.
Yeah, Rudy staying out, however. So Rudy, the Dutchman, deciding another lap. 12 laps done so far. He's on to lap 13, and he's staying out. Now, where does Stinson come out? He's just rolling out of that McLaren pit box now, as Hercules, of course, has made that stop. He's now starting to make his way down the pit straight, so it's going to be close, because here comes Hercules, and he's gone purple in the final sector. It looks as though he's just going to come out behind the McLaren, but it's going to be a little bit closer at things, and of course, Hercules will have those tyres up to race temperature, so he's got that gap now down to 1.5 seconds, so he's taken half a second out of Stinson. Of course, Stinson extending his stint on those tyres a little bit more, but 1.4 seconds with Hercules with those tyres up to temperature. He should be able to take another couple of tenths out of him if all things go to plan, because he's gone purple in the last 3 sectors, so he is pushing hard, is the German, looking for his second win on the season. Of course, he picked up his first win a couple of races ago, his first time since season 10, of course, when he came runner-up in the IRL F1 Championship to jump a line, and he's back. He's picked up a win, I believe it was back at Silverstone, but now Stinson looks as though he's gone wide there on exit of turn 8 and onto turn 9. The gap now down to 1.3.
Gareth, this is absolutely incredible driving between Nathan and TL4. They must have gone through 5 corners side by side. I do not know how they have not taken each other out. It's been incredible drive. TL4 came down the start finish straight. Nathan came out of the pits It was side by side through first corner, through second corner, through third corner, fourth corner. They were not giving it up whatsoever, and Nathan just about got the move done on tail first. But crucially, like what you said, Gareth, Foxy Red has come out behind Cliffy, so that early stop for Cliffy has worked wonders for him. He's got ahead of Foxy as we see Rudy finally giving up. He's into the pits, he's coming out now, but this is going to gift a place to Harry. So that big advantage, they bang wheels there, so Harry just about got the move done. But yeah, that gap Rudy had over Harry is completely gone, staying out longer, and Rudy will be surely ruin that decision to stay out longer, because he now finds himself behind Harry now in 5th place.
Yeah, Harry having done 2 laps on the intermediates, Rudy with fresh tyres will have this advantage later on in this stint. Of course, it all depends on how long the rain stays with us. Of course, we are expecting it was meant to dry up for the final stage of the race, and when that will come, well, no one really knows. It is still raining at a relative intensity that allows these intermediates to be well within their working windows. Rudy goes wide through turn 9. Looks as though he might have just about got away with that. That's of course the corner that caught Harry out last time we were here in a competitive league race for IRL. He ended up in that wall and out of the race and unable to pick up any points over CRG Gamer 62 in a race that was one of the factors that season for why Harry wasn't closer come the end of the championship. He, unfortunately, in the likes of China and in Spain, just couldn't pick up those points that were crucial to the results come the end of the season, as Rudy has got a good run out the final corner. And what does he do? Of course, he's on push to pass as they go down the front straight past the pit lane, and not quite close enough. You can see here it's in Spain, it's just not quite long enough to really extend yourself without DRS, and it shows you that although DRS is possibly not everyone's friend, it's quite important for people making moves, because at the moment Rudy just has to sit behind Harry and wait for him to make a mistake. And while Harry's not particularly adept in the rain, he doesn't often make too many mistakes, so at the moment for Rudy it's a little bit of frustration as he sits here and watches the back end of that Renault.
Yeah, and I think there'll be a little bit of frustration with Foxy Red. As I was saying, I'm riding on board as Bando picks up 3 seconds. I'm riding on board with Foxy now, and he knows he was right behind TL4 Forest, and now he's got a Mercedes in between him and the AlphaTauri, and he was well within DRS if it was activated of the Mercedes, but unfortunately not able to get anything done here. So Foxy Red's kind of stuck now, because he's got Marcus not too far behind him in 10th as well. So Foxy in a Mercedes sandwich right now. TL4 for us, I think, has done a stellar job of defending not only the first part of this race, but now this part as well. He's now getting a lot of pressure from Cliffy. So TL4 for us hanging on in there in 7th place. He can see Nathan just ahead, but Nathan's starting to pull a bit of a gap, up to around 1.4 seconds now.
Yeah, a bit of a cagey and nervous affair this race here in Spain. Nothing's really happened just yet. We're all just waiting for the fireworks to start going off. I'm sure as soon as the rain starts to abate and we start to see a drying line, that's when it starts to get interesting. As will we see drivers diving into the pit lane for a set of dries when we're still on that drying track, and it's still a bit of a risk. However, will it pay off? That's the real question. However, will we see, or maybe we see these intermediates run to the end, and we have to see some desperation moves from some of these drivers that are fighting over position. But one person that has made up some places is Cliffy. Of course, started from 13th on the grid, made his way up into the top 10, currently sitting in P8. That's 3 championship points going the way of ERT Cliffy. And the man that's made his return to Invictus after a couple of missing the first half of the season, he's come back. Hasn't had the greatest of runs, as Nathan picks up a second 3 seconds. That's 6 seconds there for the Haas driver. So he's with that time penalty, he was already under threat for dropping behind Finn Marcus in 10th place, and now, well, he's well off the back of this battle here. So unfortunately for Nathan, it looks as though he's going to be falling from a decent midfield points position all the way to just about picking up that one solitary point, because 6 seconds is the last thing you want when the only other person with a penalty is Bando. Bando, who's 41 seconds off the pace after unfortunately 3 spins, and he's now going to be coming into the clutches of Stinson, who's coming up to lap him very shortly. Stinson just going back to the front, 2.4 seconds. He's managed to build that bridge of a gap that he had in the early part of this race. We're on 17 laps of 33, so we're just about around about half distance in this one. As Harry defending from Rudy. Rudy's held that gap at around about half a second behind TL4S, just circulating, keeping Cliffy, Foxy and Marcus behind him.
I'm watching this battle between Harry and Rudy, and Rudy's doing a decent job of keeping Harry honest here. He's not making life comfortable for Harry. Harry in 4th place, not really able to focus on chasing after Andriy, who's received now Burmeister down in 11th place, picking up a 3-second time. But yeah, Harry's not really able to focus at all on trying to chase after Andriy in 3rd place. He's having to keep an eye on his mirrors and look at that Rebel to see what he's doing. And as you say, Rudy's managing to keep it within 4/10 to half a second behind the Renault. So Rudy having a decent race so far, and really keeping the pressure on Harry. But another guy, like I mentioned earlier, who's also having a decent race is Andriy. And right now, Harry not able to really close on Andriy. Andriy is looking pretty comfortable in 3rd place right now.
Yeah, he is indeed. Andriy just circulating, looking for his 2nd podium of the season, which would be a fantastic result from the man that has really improved this season. Race after race after race, he's starting to pick up those positions. As Rudy now starting to close in on Harry, this is probably the closest he's been in a number of laps. He's got that gap down to 0.4 of a second. Just once again, not quite close enough to be in striking range into turn 1. It's a very tricky overtake anyway. Of course, it's a corner where even with the outside, the racing line is pretty much the outside sweeping in towards the inside line, so even if you have that inside line, you're almost offline going through the next sequence of corners. So Rudy just having to wait and bide his time, sitting half a second behind Harry. Behind that gap between TL4S and Cliffy is now down, so we'll just quickly tune back in as Cliffy's starting to put the pressure on with TL4S. As you can see, as they're all starting to get held up a little bit by Nathan, and as we have a quick look as well, fastest laps goes the way of Stinson. So Stinson on 4, the absolute maximum tonight, pole position, the race win, and fastest lap is currently going his way.
Nathan, I believe, had an error somewhere because TL4S was about 1.2, 1.3 seconds. Nathan has lost it, similar to where Harry lost it last time we was here. He went into the wall. I was riding on board with Cliffy there, and I just seen the Haas suddenly go right into the wall. I don't know how that car is still going. And yeah, he manages to keep it going. He clearly hit the wall there, but luckily, I don't even think he's even picked up any damage. He might have a minor wing damage, but yeah, Nathan just gone from bad to worse for picking up that 2nd penalty, making a mistake earlier in the lap, and now losing out big time. And is he going to come into pits? Yes, he is, so he must have wing damage. I'm not surprised he has wing damage, hitting the wall the way he did. I'm amazed, to be honest, Gareth, he's still going the way he bounced off that wall, but Nathan oh no, Nathan is retired, so unfortunately Nathan has had enough. He's called it quits for this evening, and he sees that with that time penalties over his head and falling out of favour now, he believes it's time to call it quits. But yeah, that's promoted TL4S up to 6. But what it also has done is allowed, like you've said, Cliffy to gain on TL4S. As Cliffy's trying to send one round the outside of TL4S. This would be very brave round here. Surely TL4S is not going to allow that to happen. No, he's not. And Cliffy trying a cheeky one round the outside there. Tom will say no, thank you. So Cliffy trying his hardest to try different moves around this track on Tom. At the moment, Tom's defending well, but Foxy Red and Marcus all keeping pressure on Cliffy too.
As here comes Foxy Red, just having a look down the inside of Cliffy. Always going to be a little bit of contact. Looks as though he just about backed out in time as Bando retires from the race in the pit lane as well. So we're now down to 11 runners. That retirement for Nathan has promoted Burmeister up into a championship point, and Burr, who's trying to score his most amount of championship points in the last 3 seasons, which is well, it's not too many. I believe it's only I'll just quickly check my notes. I believe it's only 7, but he's on his way. He just needs a decent result over the next race or so back at in Singapore to do so. As you can see, Foxy just backing off a little bit after that contact between himself and Cliffy on that last lap, just trying to send a move as Cliffy tries to shape up Tilford S. It looks as though he's got a little bit more superior grip compared to Tom, but he's going to run off wide onto the green painted strip, and that's not where you want to be, especially in the wet. You could see the car just got a little bit light there. He just about managed to hold on to it, lifted off of the throttle. He's used quite a decent chunk of battery as well, as he's just managed to keep himself from clipping the rear end of Tilford S. And Tom's doing a really solid job at the moment of putting that AlphaTauri in all the right places and making it difficult to go around the outside. And he's clearly been to a decent school for defending, and knows where to show the door and where not to. And Cliffy, well, unfortunately, the outside is not really the place you want to be in the dry, let alone in the wet, as he's trying to close in on TL44S, and TL44S doing a good job just putting it in all the right places, making it difficult. Up ahead, Rudy still sitting at around about half a second gap between himself and Harry. Stinson, well, we've had a bit of a quiet race from him and Hercules. The gaps between the top three all sit at around about 2.4, 2.9 seconds, so we will tune in. But DRS now enabled, so even with the rain coming down, here we go, perfect timing. Cliffy into the box, he's going for the dryers.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was on board with Cliffy. As soon as that DRS enable flashed up on the screen, he was in prime position there. Unfortunately for TL4S, he couldn't react to it, but am I seeing things right? I just need to check my details there. I believe Cliffy has come back out on a set of intermediate tyres. If that's correct, then that would be absolutely fascinating. I don't know if there's an error there, but yeah, yes, Cliffy is back out on a brand new set of intermediate tyres, so he believes surely that it's not the right time to go on the softs, yet we have DRS enabled. Interesting strategy call.
Here comes Luke Bailey. What's he going to go for? Because it's a set of medium tyres for Luke Bailey. So was that call from the Mercedes too late to actually get the tyres swapped over to a set of dries for Cliffy? Because even with DRS, of course, as soon as it dries up and the rain has stopped, well, Luke Bailey might have played this one right, because you can see the track already looks completely dry. I mean, I'm sure it doesn't feel at all, but Luke's out there on a set of dries. Into the box will come Stinson, will come Hercules. They'll all be going on to a set surely of a set of mediums. And there you go, set of mediums for Stinson, set of mediums ready for Hercules. Harry is going to have to, is he going to just about get away with the double stack? The team going to reset. We'll see if it compromises him a little bit. He's going to have to pause. He gets about a 2-second pause before he goes out. But, well, Cliffy, as you say, has he unfortunately had that error of just not having enough time? It looks as though it worked out perfectly for him. He's going to have to staying out on the intermediate rubber. This looks as though it might... Oh, it's not going to be the favourable in the long term. Yes, it might work whilst the track is drying, but as soon as it goes to dries, he has to do an extra stop.
And talking of potential errors, Gareth, Andriy and Rudy have also stayed out on these intermediate tyres, and this potentially lose Andriy his third place here. He's ran deep in at least 3 corners on this lap alone, Andriy, so he's really struggling on these intermediate tyres in these conditions. So is this a really big, costly mistake from the Hastrai? I hope not, but you'd imagine surely that Andriy will be coming into the pits any time now. Surely can't go for another lap. I could not believe that Cliffy stayed out, and yes, Andriy does come into the pit, so you'd imagine Rudy will as well, but surely this is going to play in the hands of Harry, who was in 4th place, and Harry now on the medium tyres. Yes, Rudy does come into the pit, so surely Harry, if he can really nail this lap on these medium tyres, find himself closing within an opportunity of attacking Andriy, so this could really hurt Andriy's potential podium.
And Burmeister retiring from the race. He's lost it on the exit of turn 7 or turn 8, I believe that is. So, is it? Yeah, it's a big one there for Burmeister. Unfortunately, that's a wheel off for him. So he will be going no further as Luke Bailey runs out there. But well, are we going to get a safety car? Will that help out the likes of Cliffy? Because Cliffy staying out again on intermediates. You can see as that gap was 2.1 seconds, it's now down to 1.3. So Cliffy, he's not losing a heap of time, but surely it's not going to work in the long term. We're on lap 23 of 33. Surely Cliffy knows that eventually he's going to have to make a stop, and it's going to drop him right down the order once again. So at the moment, Luke Bailey just needs to put in some solid laps, and he can possibly reel in enough time to overhaul. And there you go, there's the fastest lap of the race, a 1:26.7. So the dries are now very much working. Of course, we're nowhere near the dry qualifying time of a 1:13.9 that we saw from Stinson. However, they are starting to be faster. That was the crossover period, the faster time than the intermediate. So I'm sure we will see the fastest laps now start to tumble as Stinson is going to come across the line. We'll see what his lap time is here as he puts in the first flying lap on these dry tyres. And there you go, I'm sure we're going to see these purple laps absolutely flying in now. It's a 23.1 for Stinson. Will we see it broken by any of the others? Because Rudy's out there on a set of softs, so of course they'll be going quick as well. Equally, Cliffy, who's his TL4S, picks up 3 seconds. He's down in 8th position now.
Yeah, they're trying to get round Cliffy here. Cliffy's just a roadblock here, and TL4S had to run wide because he was battling with Foxy, and that cost him a penalty. And now Cliffy does pit in. TL4S now just been overtaken by Fox Red. He's going to try and get the move back on Fox Red, but that is really going to hurt TL4S. As Foxy runs deep into 2-1, he's going to have to take the inside corners, and surely he's just going to have to allow Tom past. He surely cannot keep hold of that position, and Foxy Red is trying to hang on to it. Surely Foxy Red has to yield that position. He ran very wide and just kept his foot in it, and Tom does take 6th place, and crucially just up ahead as Foxy sends one up the inside here, and these guys still are not giving up. Tom just about hangs on here. Just wanted to point out as well quickly up ahead, Gareth, Rudy is playing the blinder here. He's gone onto the soft tyres, but he's also crucially got ahead of Harry, and he's now starting to build a gap over Harry. It's now 1.7 seconds, so Rudy looking to go and make those soft tyres to the end, so this really could hurt Harry's potential fight for a top 4 finish.
As Stinson and Hercules swap fastest laps here, Andriy now takes it. So here we go, this is where it starts to tumble. This is where every single person that crosses the line will now start to set fastest laps as we start to go from a drying track to a dry track. And Foxy Red, a little bit naughty there from Foxy at turn 1, should have yielded immediately, tried to keep battling into turn 2, and TL4S very much had a quick swipe at him and said, no, you give me that position. And well, we'll see if Foxy is going to line him up this time around. He's in the DRS, and Foxy is going to sweep around, taking the outside line and the racing line into T1 this time around. Can he get it slowed down? He can. So as that track starts to dry, the adhesion comes back, and it makes it a lot easier for these guys to do their stuff out there on the circuit. And Foxy Red now back up into 6th place.
Interesting thoughts here, Gareth. Can Rudy catch Andriy for P3? He's taking chunks of time out. Oh, just say that, Rudy's just had a trip through the gravel there. I don't know how he kept that car on the track, but he's just had a trip through the gravel, and it seemed to look like nothing happened at all. But I was about to say Rudy's taking chunks of time out of Andriy. He's gone back up to 5.1 seconds now, so obviously proving me wrong. But Rudy looking very fast on those soft tyres. He's already bridged the gap to Harry to 2.3 seconds now, so Harry not able to keep with the Red Bull driver. So maybe if he keeps it within the white lines, Rudy could potentially, there you go, picks up the fastest lap, even with a trip through the gravel there. That just shows how quick he was, Rudy. So Rudy target is a potential podium here. Be interested to watch him for the final few laps.
Yeah, and we'll keep tuned in with that. 5 seconds he's got the advantage, or the deficit, sorry, to Andriy as Foxy does the fastest lap at 1:25. Of course, this is going to start falling lap for lap now as they get quicker and quicker and quicker on these dry tyres. I'm sure the next time around will be Cliffy. Cliffy's about to come and set a lap. He's gone onto the soft tyres to go to the end, but he's got a big gap to make up between himself and Marcus, and he picked up a penalty. However, he does then pick up the fastest lap, now 1:19.638. Stinson leading this one now by 4.1 seconds over Andriy. Over Hercules, and then Hercules 4.5 over Andriy. So the gaps between the top three have pretty much stayed solid. Every time it's moved up between all three of them. So Stinson pretty much commanded this one since the start. No one really had an answer for his dominance, and well, It's not been a race to remember for Harry, as you say. Poor start, dropped from 3rd to 7th. He's stuck in 5th place, just absolute no man's land now, not really making any inroads on Rudy, and then a huge gap back to Foxy Red 2000 in 6th position. So your champion in waiting, currently sitting there, just not really enjoying it. He's gapped it down to 1.9 between himself and Rudy, 1.8. So he is starting to reel in some time, but with only 6 laps left to go in this one, it's looking as though if Rudy can keep things to plan, he might be able to keep Harry at bay behind. You can see TL44S now back into DRS of Foxy Red up ahead of him, however, not using it down the straight. He's going to have to line him up in towards turn 9 later on in this one.
Yeah, and my potential prediction of Rudy catching Andriy might be quite false, because Rudy's not really been able to improve with these soft tyres. He keeps dipping in the 4.8, 4.9 second mark, but Andriy seemingly able to hold the Red Bull driver at bay on those mean tyres. And like you say, with 6 laps left to go, I think it's now going to be a big ask for Rudy to potentially steal 3rd place, unless likes of Andriy picks up a penalty from now to the end of the race, as we see Stinson now takes the fastest lap again in 1st place. Stinson 4.2 seconds ahead, is just riding on, but I thought Rudy was about to take the fast lap. He did go purple last sector, but it didn't come up as a fast lap because Harry's just took the fast lap. And talking of Harry, he's now got it down to 1.3 seconds, so maybe Rudy's taken too much life out of those soft tyres already, as Harry's looking to potentially steal that 4th place off the Red Bull driver.
Yeah, the hards around Spain will last for possibly 3 or 4 full 100% races. They seem to be that durable. The softs, however, they can overheat around here, and especially if Rudy was using them on a drying track, as Cliffy does an 18.243 on them, so Cliffy taking a fastest lap there. So yeah, we'll see if Rudy can just nurse those tyres to the end, but Harry is starting to smell 4th position from the back end of Rudy, and however, for Harry, surely it's just getting to the end of this one and picking up points. He doesn't want to, of course, he is still targeting getting a decent points haul, getting himself up there in the all-time points record. We will see. It might just be out of reach for him with this result, however. A top 5 result, or being inside the top 5 all season long, won't be a bad result for him. I think he's had a couple of 4th place finishes, and this would be his worst finish of the season, but if 5th place is your worst finish, it's not the end of the world. And at the moment, Cliffy with that fastest lap, you know I like my stats, Sab, as I quickly look down at my notes, that would make it 11 different fastest lap holders this season. We're currently the only ones that don't have a fastest lap to their name, I believe, are Stinson, are Harry, and Cliffy himself.
That is fascinating. I hope that carries on into next week. I really do. It be interesting to see if somebody different can grab it next week. I'm keeping an eye on the battle for P6 between Foxy and TL4S. TL4S is not giving this up whatsoever, even though he does have that 3-second time penalty. He knows he needs to just keep pushing now, keep Foxy under pressure, try and get a move though, because who knows, Foxy could pick up a time penalty towards the end of this race, and then it is really game on. So TL4S pushing as hard as he can now to try and get back past that Alfa Romeo. TL4S, he's had a decent race. He's struggled throughout the wet period of this race, but he's had a decent race overall. He's, like Harry, he's been stuck in that midfield position, and there you go, Gareth. Stinson's now got the fastest lap. Yeah,
so Stinson, Harry and Cliffy, well, who's going to go for it? Because, we want to see it go 12 for 12. We want to go 11 for 11. So we'll see. Harry's going to get a nice tow here, so he's going to get a good run. Does he take it? Not this time, however. As Rudy harvests battery down the back straight, that's going to open the door very much for Harry, who's going to go down the outside. Can he get the run into turn 1? He's going to lock the brake, but he's going to get the move done. So Harry now up into 4th place ahead of Rudy. Those soft tyres just weren't quite enough. Harry's over overall pace, unfortunately, it looks as though it's a little bit too strong for Rudy, but Rudy trying to come back at him, going up in towards turn 4. It's not going to be enough, unfortunately. So Harry, can he break out this toe? Can he break out this 1 second window? And we'll lap 30 of 33. Stinson's leading by 5.2 seconds, and really just cruising now. He doesn't even need to put some hot laps in. He, of course, it's pretty much as if he just wants to take the fastest lap and add it and make go 3-3 with pole position, the race win, and taking the fastest lap. Of course, everyone wants that Grand Slam, and he's pretty much led every single lap too. So Stinson, every time, apart from a couple of laps when the guys stayed out on a different strategy, every time he's pretty the net race leader. And there we go, another fastest lap from him, a 17.396 on the medium tyres. Shows that those tyres are very much working right now. Cliffy, he's on the softer rubber. He's down in 9th place. We'll see if he can push a little bit harder. However, Rudy, it looks as though he's lining Harry back up once again down the front straight. He's not got too much battery to play with. DRS, however, will come into effect. And down we go. Red Bull retakes the position. Who's going to have it into T1? Back up into P4 goes Rudy. Good overtake there from Rudy. Did not want to lie down and let Harry get away with it. So Harry's going to have to fight for this one. Lap 31 of 33. 2.5 laps left to go for Stinson. He's currently rounding turn 7, turn 8 on to turn 9 now. Behind, the battle on circuit is between Rudy and Harry, and TL44S, who's now cruising up to the back of Foxy.
Yeah, and unfortunately for TL44S, I've just been watching this battle while you was watching the Rudy and Harry battle. TL44S, he gets within like 6/10, 7/10 of a second, and it's just not enough. It's too big a gap down the start finish to make up and then overtake Foxy. He needs to, where he's at now, around 4/10 of a second, he's just got a little bit of time there. He just needs to get within, I'd say, around 4/10 of a second coming round that final turn to have a chance of attacking Foxy, because the moment it's bringing him right up to the back. As there we go, Gareth Andriy now with the fastest lap of 1:17.446. But yeah, as I was saying, TL4 for us, that DRS is bringing him up to the back of Foxy, but then Foxy's able to just find some pace throughout the middle part of the track and keep TL4S behind. But at this moment now, TL4S has got it within 0.3 of a second to Foxy. So this is a great opportunity. It's as close as he's been so far. So I said he needed to be around 4/10. Can he get the move done this time? He's closing. I don't think he's going to quite have the straight line speed, and no, Foxy lives and breathes to fight once again, and this will be frustrating TL4S, I imagine, because it seems like Foxy Red has got plenty of straight line speed in that Alfa Romeo.
I see, as TL4S does a big jink out there, I see Cliffy into the box. Does he go onto another set of softs? And, well, there we go. That's someone that's eyeing up a fastest lap point, isn't it? So, Cliffy, well, he's going to have one lap on fresh softs to beat the time that's currently held by Andriy. Andriy is not on the list of drivers with a fastest lap. so well, at the moment, Cliffy has Stinson, who's not on the list either. It can go anywhere. That's probably the most exciting thing that's happened in the race so far, the battle between who's going to get the fastest lap. But TL4S is closest on circuit, as Rudy's now dropped 1.6 seconds behind Harry, so that battle is effectively over, as Harry now takes the fastest lap. He's not on the list either.
No, this is turning into an epic battle for fastest lap here. I think they're all fancying it, aren't they, here, Gareth? But TL4S once again is really close to Foxy, and I think Foxy's straight line speed is doing him a world of favour, but TL4S is much closer this time. 0.3, 0.2, 1/10. Can TL4S get this done? He's going to send it down the inside. Foxy closes the door there. TL4S has to slam the brakes on Foxy Red, well within his rights to say no thank you. TL4S, closest he's been all race, could not get that move done, and Foxy Red is hanging on with his fingernails now, trying to keep hold of that 6th place.
Yeah, absolutely so. As we go on to the final lap of this one, and Stinson is rounding his way around the final chicane, and well, we've not really seen too much of him. It's been a very quiet Ian for the Dutchman, but it's been a very productive one. Pole position, it's been the pretty much leading every single lap, and it's the fastest lap on the last lap of the race for Stinson, pushing to the bitter end. He is your winner here in Spain. Hercules is in second. Finn Marcus picks up a penalty. We've got Andriy, another podium. Well done goes to Andriy, another podium. He'll be absolutely elated elated with that. Harry is going to be coming across the line. Can he snatch the fastest lap away from Stinson? It's not going to be enough. Rudy is in 5th place. Foxy Red is still in that battle. TL4S, of course, Tom with a penalty after having to try and clear Cliffy. Cliffy will be on the charge for the fastest lap. He's rounding turn 7 now, but up to the line will come Foxy. He'll hold position ahead of TL4S. Finn Marcus comes home in 8th place, and well, the battle now is can Cliffy steal the fastest lap away from Stinson? Stinson wanting that Grand Slam. Is it enough? Here comes Cliffy. He's rolling his way around the 3rd sector. He's the last person on circuit. He's going to be well down the order. However, with 2 championship points to his name, he wants to make it 3 by adding that fastest lap. However, we will be going 11 for 11, whatever the cost, because Stinson holds it currently. Will it go to Cliffy? He's coming around the final corner. And here we go. The most exciting thing of all race so far. Here we go. Cliffy, a 16.444. Fastest lap goes to him, and he takes home an extra championship point.
Yeah, that was exhilarating in the end. Big congratulations to Stinson. He was absolutely superb this evening. He ran away, did he, early on in those wet conditions, made that position his own, and he really is looking like a man possessed with wanting these race victories the second half of the season. Big congratulations, standing on the top step there. Hercules joining as well. Decent race from Hercules, and another superb performance, I'd say, from Andriy. Kept it clean, just got his head down, didn't worry about any cars behind, and held on to that 3rd place. Absolutely superb for him. So big congratulations to the podium guys. I look forward to hearing what they have to say in our comms box shortly.
Yeah, and I'm sure Sab will have some questions lined up for your race or your podium sitters in this one, as Stinson takes another win this season from pole position in a time of 47 minutes and 25 seconds ahead of Hercules. Andriy, another podium for the Haas driver. Fantastic result once again, ending his season on a high. Harry in 4th place with Rudy in 5th. Foxy Red came home in 6th with TL4S. Unfortunately, that podium costing him late on in that one. 7th. Finn Marcus 8th. Cliffy with that fastest lap in 9th. Luke Bailey in his jump up to F1 finishes in the points in 10th. Unfortunately, we lost Burmeister, Bando, and Nathan earlier on. Of course, Burr crashing out at turn 7. Nathan and Bando ending their races early after a couple of spins, contact with the wall in the pit lane, and thus ends the 11th race of the season here. The IRL F1 League on the PlayStation. We'll be back for the final race of the season in 1 week's time in Singapore for the night race at Marina Bay. But Sab, looks as though we've been joined by our guys in the podium. So yeah, fire away.
Yes, we'll start with 2nd place. We're just waiting on our race winner. 2nd place, MNT Hercules. Good evening, Hercules. We've seen you once again here in the podium chat. It wasn't quite 1st place this evening, but with Stinson looking very fast this evening. Are you pretty pleased with coming home in 2nd, especially in those conditions?
Yeah, were tricky conditions, and I think the last time I properly raced this track was I think in the last game. So yeah, I had a good rhythm, and yeah, it was really important to have a good start off the line, not like my teammate. Then I knew from experience that it's really hard to overtake here in it doesn't matter if it's dry or wet. You can't really get close because of the dirty air. So I think you saw a boring race with not many fights, I guess. Yeah, and then it was just trying to push. I thought I can be closer in the dry, but the problem is with some people using line, they know exactly where the limits are because the game is telling them. And I have to guess every lap, so that's why I need a few laps to adapt every time. And yeah, so that's why I had really no chance for 1st place because of this line, I guess.
Well, still in those conditions, I still applaud you. It looked treacherous out there, especially early on. So congratulations on your 2nd place. That was a solid drive from yourself. And moving on to 3rd place, and we welcome back once again Andriy. You told us last time how absolutely over the moon you were when getting a podium. How does this feel, picking up a 2nd podium of the season?
Yeah, I mean, it feels amazing to be honest. I definitely didn't have the strongest of qualifying, so on my last lap I was about 2 tenths up on my lap, and then maybe it would have got me about third, second, but I invalidated it, so that was a bit annoying. But in the race, didn't really matter because I think Stinson and Hercules were just they were really really quick today in the race, so couldn't really keep up with them too much there. And then on the race, just off the start, to be honest, just managed to pick up a position with Harry. I think he got a bit bogged down a little bit at the start, and then from then on, it just was really bringing it home, to be honest, and keeping it sensible and not making any silly mistakes there. And I think I ended up catching Hercules a little bit towards the end, but it was too little, too late, and we were having a little fastest lap competition as well at
Do
the
you
end.
use line?
Plenty of guys. I do use line.
Yeah, so it's a big assist then.
Well, I still didn't catch you in the end, so it wasn't exactly that overpowered, and I'm sure it wasn't that many drivers.
In shifting condition, it is overpowered because I have to guess where the limit is. So. But whatever, good drive anyway.
Spoiler alert: their line is wrong in switching conditions.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it
know.
doesn't. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it doesn't change. As far as I'm concerned,
It doesn't work.
Either way, I don't spend enough time on this game to learn the breaking point, so that's kind of why I use it. But yeah. Anyhow, pretty good race this evening, to be honest. I'm pretty happy with that third. So yeah.
Well, it was a great third place for yourself. I'm really delighted to see you back on the podium. So superb drive from yourself there, Andriy. Big congratulations. And we'll move on to our race victor. Once again, it's Stinson. You took the checker flag last week. It did end up getting given to you, the race victory. So this makes it 2 wins on the bounce. How was this evening for yourself? It looked relatively comfortable out there for you. You managed to build a gap to Hercules in second, and you never really looked back then. It looked like just a case of making sure you keep the car on the track.
The first lap I really pushed a lot, and I even kept Jeff asking on the formation lap about the weather report, and he wasn't sure whether the slicks or the inters were faster. So I pushed a couple laps in the beginning, and then the tires immediately started overheating. So I really had to limit the pace to not destroy the tires. That was mostly the biggest challenge.
Well, it looked like a relatively comfortable race. So we go on to Singapore, our final race of the season, Stinson. You've got 2 races on the bounce as a race victor. Can you round out this season and take a hat trick and end this season on a real high for yourself?
I will certainly try. It would be great to end. It would be great to end the season with 3 wins in a row. Well,
I look forward to that anyway. And Gareth, we've ended. It wasn't quite the race we had last week in China, but we certainly had a great battle for fastest laps in the end.
Yeah, that's quite the understatement. Maybe not quite the quite the race. I wish that China was the 100th race for me. Maybe not this one. This was, it was.
It was a challenge.
It was definitely a race. It was definitely a race. But when you're commentating on the fastest laps at the end, you know that maybe it's maybe not the greatest. However, I'm sure we'll finish off in style in Singapore in a week's time. Hopefully the grid is a little bit bigger as well, and we've got a few more people, and hopefully the weather plays out nicely so that we can have a mixed up grid and we can have a lot of fun and send off the season in style and send off the game here in league competitive racing in an Invictus on F1 2020. But for this week, thanks for joining us, guys. Congratulations goes out to Stints and Hercules, and of course to Andriy, another fantastic podium from the Haas in 3rd position. We'll be back in Singapore in a week's time. Of course, you can find us all at Invictus RL on Twitter, at Invictus Racing League on Facebook and on Instagram. Go to the website invictusracingleague.com, and of course you can find Sab and I on social media at GT2_driving for me, at Alan Sabatino for Sab, and we'll be back next week for the Singapore Grand Prix. Tune in tomorrow, of course, PS F2 on the PlayStation, F1 over on twitch.tv/Invictus Racing League. Racing all 3 platforms, Monday to Thursday. But from Sab and I, have a great week, and we'll see you shortly.
Bye-bye.